Christy Brinkley, the iconic supermodel, once said she felt a wave of warmth when revisiting her childhood home. This wasn't just sentimental value. Research has shown that nostalgia can literally make us feel physically warmer. But how does this work? What is it about nostalgia that triggers this warming sensation? Here are the 6 ways nostalgia manipulates our brain into feeling warmer, and what this means for our spending habits. Nostalgia is often triggered by sensory experiences like smells or sounds. When we encounter these triggers, our brain's default mode network is activated, releasing feelings of warmth and comfort. This is because the brain's insula, responsible for regulating body temperature, is also closely linked to emotional processing. As a result, nostalgic memories can literally make us feel warmer, as our brain confuses the emotional warmth with physical warmth. For example, the smell of freshly baked cookies might transport you back to your grandmother's kitchen, filling you with a sense of warmth and comfort. This can lead to overspending on nostalgic items, like vintage clothing or antique furniture, in an attempt to recreate that feeling. The Diderot effect is at play here, where the purchase of one nostalgic item leads to a desire for more, in an attempt to maintain that warm, fuzzy feeling. Nostalgia often involves shared experiences with others, like family gatherings or social events. When we reminisce about these experiences, our brain releases oxytocin, a hormone associated with social bonding and warmth. This can lead to a desire to recreate those social experiences, often through spending on nostalgic activities or items that evoke a sense of community. For instance, a person might attend a music festival featuring their favorite childhood bands, or buy a vintage board game to play with friends. The social warmth we experience through nostalgia can be so powerful that it overrides our financial concerns, leading to impulsive purchases in the pursuit of recapturing that feeling. The scarcity principle is also at play, as we perceive nostalgic experiences as limited or rare, increasing their value and our willingness to pay for them. When we think about losing nostalgic items, like a favorite childhood toy or a family heirloom, our brain experiences a strong sense of loss aversion. This is because the brain's amygdala, responsible for processing emotions, is highly activated when we consider parting with nostalgic items. As a result, we tend to overvalue these items and are willing to spend more to keep them or replace them if lost. For example, a person might spend hundreds of dollars on a vintage toy that held sentimental value, or pay a premium for a nostalgic experience, like a vintage car ride. The endowment effect is at play here, where we overvalue items we own, especially those with nostalgic significance, leading to poor financial decisions. When we think about nostalgic items or experiences, we often use mental accounting, separating them from our regular budget. This means we're more likely to splurge on nostalgic items, as we perceive them as outside our regular spending limits. For instance, a person might set aside a separate budget for nostalgic items, like vintage clothing or collectibles, and feel less guilty about overspending in that category. The mental accounting effect is so powerful that it can lead to a situation where we're willing to pay more for a nostalgic item than its actual value, simply because it's not part of our regular budget. The decoy effect is also at play, where the presence of a nostalgic item can influence our perception of its value, making us more willing to pay a premium. Number 4 is the one almost nobody gets right. So stick around to learn how to avoid the nostalgia trap. When we experience nostalgic feelings, our brain's reward system is activated, releasing dopamine and creating a sense of pleasure. However, this pleasure is short-lived, as our brain quickly adapts to the nostalgic stimulus. To recreate the feeling, we might seek out more nostalgic experiences or items, leading to a cycle of overspending. For example, a person might buy a nostalgic video game, only to feel the excitement wear off after a few days, leading them to seek out another nostalgic purchase. The present bias is at play here, where we prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term financial stability. When we buy nostalgic items, we often experience a sense of excitement and pleasure. However, this feeling can quickly turn into dissatisfaction, as the item fails to live up to our nostalgic expectations. This can lead to a downward spiral, where we continue to buy more nostalgic items in an attempt to recapture the feeling, only to experience further dissatisfaction. For instance, a person might buy a vintage watch, only to feel disappointed when it doesn't bring back the memories they expected. The scarcity principle is at play here, where we perceive nostalgic items as rare or limited, increasing their value and our willingness to pay for them. In conclusion, Nostalgia can have a powerful impact on our spending habits, often leading to impulsive purchases and overspending. By being aware of these psychological effects, we can make more informed decisions and avoid the nostalgia trap. One practical takeaway is to set a separate budget for nostalgic items and experiences, and to prioritize long-term financial stability over short-term pleasure. Subscribe to Cashology for the psychology behind your money.